Okay, well, the speech actually was, I thought, pretty well delivered. Unfortunately, I didn't find as much information about the budget as I had hoped to. I mean, the concepts he talked about, needing to cut, needing to pay bills, needing to focus on job development are all right on target. Unfortunately, we didn't hear a lot about the numbers. And the key factor that the budget document itself shows is that this year he is proposing to spend $1.7 billion more than was spent last year. So right there, it says we need to focus on controlling spending. As you know, the borrowing has been proposed to pay bills, yet the budget document itself, if you look at it, demonstrates that some of that borrowing is actually used in order to prop up the level of spending that can't be sustained with the revenue that is coming in aside from the borrowing. So I think there's some work to do.
You think that's a bait and switch then with this borrowing package? He's coming out saying this is for old bills and now he wants to use it for operation.
Well, I think it's sort of a sloppy accounting of what is going to happen with it. I mean, the fact of the matter is it's not all being used to pay bills. It's being used to prop up spending that we can't afford.
Senator Trotter said he's not in favor of using money from the borrowed funds to pay for new spending. Do you think that Democrats will stick by that?
Well, I hope so, because I do think that everyone recognizes we have a problem. We've got to rein in spending, and the governor did talk about the need to have some cuts. He actually identifies some in the budget document, but I think we need to sit down and go a little bit further.
Can you support the cuts that he talked about today?
I need to see them in detail. I'm open to everything he talked about.
Legislative scholarships?
I've had that bill to eliminate those for several years. They should have been gone a long time ago.
You still give them out?
Illinois RX.
Leader?
I do not have scholarship. I no longer give legislative scholarship.
Thank you.
But some of the other things, cutting the Medicaid rates, he talked, at least at the press briefing last night, about eliminating circuit breaker, getting rid of or reducing transportation reimbursements for school districts.
I could conceivably support anything he talked about. I think we need to sit down together, which we haven't done, and look at the details there and see if there's networks and communities and families that can take up the slack during this time that we can't afford that. But there is no way to get out of this hole without making real cuts to programs, and we're kidding ourselves if we continue to say it can be done painlessly.
What will it take to get schools consolidated?
I believe there's some proposals that the state board has introduced through legislators to encourage consolidation. I think that's a very good idea, and we need to pursue it aggressively. We also need to look at other units of local government. I mean, those are the fundamental changes that the state's going to have to go through in order to get stabilized long-term.
Everybody wants to protect the neighborhood school. Everybody says school consolidation is a great idea, but don't close my neighborhood school.
Well, people say that, but the fact of the matter is our situation is so bad right now, and people are threatened with, at some point, perhaps not getting pensions or payments simply not being made at all, that we have to look at those things that in the past have been difficult to swallow, such as school consolidation.
It's almost like you're saying he's not cutting enough.
I would agree. I think there's some more ideas, and as I mentioned at the press conference yesterday, our caucus will be developing a list. Another thing that wasn't discussed at all that is absolutely key is there was absolutely no mention of additional pension reform and no mention of retiree health care costs. Both of those are huge drags on the budget that absolutely have to be addressed.
Retiree
Health insurance. As you know, some retirees pay nothing for their health care. That certainly is not what goes on in the rest of the world, and we need to take a look at that.